Apologies to Matty Keenan there, little problem with our connection, but we'll thank Matty Keenan and really appreciate his 3 weeks of work, SBS Tour de France commentator and the voice of cycling in this country. Okay, back to your calls. 1300 736 736. Jump of the line. We've still got to name our caller of the day, and of course our caller of the week will win a 365-day phone plan with unlimited talk and text and 230 gigabytes of data worth $190 thanks to Kogan Mobile. We'll also put you into the draw to be the caller of the month, who will win an iPhone 12 mini, and got a few things to give away in the next hour as well. If you jump on the line, we've got a few squad bundles, including face and body wash, thanks to Stuff, personal care to help guys become better men. So if you want to take that home, jump on the line now. Let's have a chat. Anything in the world of sport, anything in the world of footy you'd like to discuss. 1300 736 736, the open line, brought to us by Werribee Kia. They've got the Kia My22 Cerato now in stock. You can check out their range online, even though you can't head down there at the moment, but check out their range online. And when it is possible to head down to Werribee Kia, you can drop down and have a chat to David and Janan and Aid and Jim and the team at Werribee Kia. A couple of your texts that have come through on the Temper text machine, TEMPUR, mattresses and pillows like no other, before we head back to your calls. As a North supporter, I'm proud as punch with the way we're going about our footy. Obviously, the team's buying into David Noble's game style. Can't wait to go and watch them in the near future. J-Bob, thanks for that one. Yeah, let's hope you can get to watch them in the near future. Ari, the goal kicking, I keep saying this, but you guys don't mention it. Watch rugby players kick for goal and the process they follow. They visualise the kick, they calm themselves, and they concentrate on nothing but the ball and the kick. They rarely miss. I understand they're kicking a stationary ball, but it amazes me how many AFL players rush their set shots or are still looking for an option as they walk in to take the kick. The goal-kicking coaches need to speak to the rugby players. Thanks for that one as well. And we've been talking about it quite a bit, but even the psychologists the clubs employ now don't seem to be able to get the players to be confident in their kick. Stefan in Glenburn, welcome to you, Stefan.
Hey, Dwayne, hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
What have you got for us?
Well, first of all, proud of Bombers for the second half, but disappointed in the first half, but we got the job done. I wanted to talk about and get your opinion. So it's actually a question. So in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, we'd say that football was almost at its most attractive, and opinions would vary on that. Now, how many interchange times would they use the bench in the 80s and 90s?
In the 80s, not as many as the 90s. The 80s, they hardly used it at all. When interchange came in, you'd be rarely interchanged at all. It started to increase a little bit in the 90s, but it wasn't really until the 2000s that coaches started to realise, hang on, we've got this interchange rule. We can use it a lot. And then, Mick Malthouse and a few of those coaches started to make it skyrocket to the point that, we're heading towards the 100 number. But it's been pulled back this year a bit because of the new rules. But there's no more fatigue in the game this year because we've added the sub rule, which in essence allows the list of 22, if you lose a player for the game, to be replenished to 22 straight away, Stefan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of my point. So we're trying to speed up the game and we're doing all these other things like marks and, whatever, 666, which I think is great. Why don't we just go to 4 interchanges per quarter? So you get 16 for the game. Big shock there. But I think that, then you would have your 18 on the ground. And, like Liam Pickering the other day said something about, I did a mistake, I got dropped, I got, little things like that. You would actually earn your spot. There'd be that, just 4 interchanges, players would play. What do you think?
Well, I think it would be too big a culture shock to bring it straight back to that, Stefan. But I do think that it could be reduced to, below 50. Put it that way, especially if we're going to keep the sub. The sub rule, there is an option to have 3 interchange plus the sub rather than 4 interchange and the sub. So if we're going to continue with the sub, just have 3 interchange in the sub. And if also we're going to introduce, a sub and keep the 4 interchange, reduce it to 50 or less and try and bring fatigue back. But what we're essentially doing this year with the sub is we're giving players on average more rest time than they had in all the seasons that we didn't have the sub, Stefan.
Exactly. I think it comes down to rotations. I think in the soccer they only do maybe 1 or 2 rotations for the whole game. I could be wrong there. And that way, you see a forward pocket versus a back pocket actually grind out a game together, one-on-one opponents, instead of knowing, I've got, I end up being matched on 10 opponents in a game, and it's not really, a position versus a position anymore. So I appreciate you taking my call. I think it definitely needs to get reduced. Yeah.
Thanks for your call, Stefan. I appreciate you raising it. Sam in Ringwood before Michael Barlow joins us for a chat. Are you there, Sam?
Hey, Jono. I just want to talk about the Friday night game, the Richmond game. The dangerous tackles. What were the umpires thinking? That some of those were absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's been brought down through the leagues as well, because the EFL that I play in, we're receiving dangerous tackle calls for anything now and getting instant yellow cards for it. So, yeah,
Sam, I'm glad you raised it. It hasn't been raised so far today, but it needed to be raised. Hold the line after this call, by the way. You've won the squad bundle, including face and body wash, thanks to Staff Personal Care and help guys become better men. I agree with you. It seems as if it's a rule of the week. Now, we hear about this rule of the week quite often. The umpires tell us they don't have a rule of the week, but if they do believe that there's one interpretation of a rule that they haven't been getting right for a number of weeks, then they want to correct it. So it's not necessarily a rule of the week. It's what have we been getting wrong that we need to do better. And obviously they believe that they've been getting this dangerous tackle rule wrong, Sam. So there seems to have been a crackdown, but quite often when we get a crackdown, there tends to be an overcorrection, Sam.
Yeah, there was some crazy calls on Friday night. There were just, that's how you're taught to tackle since a kid, and then they're just paying it as a dangerous tackle. I don't think there was any intent to cause harm at all.
Yeah, the overcorrection was bizarre, and it seems as if we've got the overcorrection right now. Hey, appreciate your call as well, Sam. Aaron in Bombok, I know you're on the line, but Michael Barlow's been good enough to join us, Werribee VFL coach, to have a chat about the weekend just gone and what we might get coming up. Michael, welcome to the program. Great to have you on.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good to be on. Not much else to do, so looking forward to having a chat.
So what are you doing? What's happening in the VFL?
It's a good question. There's obviously a lot of movement around what may happen, but the news today that the lockdown won't end as hoped tomorrow might push things back a week. So a lot of moving pieces in terms of standalone clubs, clearly, and then aligned clubs. I know the competitive balance might be thrown out a little bit with a few scratch matches going on with players that aren't in AFL sides at the moment as we speak. So as a standalone club, we probably feel a little bit behind the eight ball with that type of stuff. But what will be, and just hoping for our players' sake we can get out and play soon.
So the AFL clubs who've got clubs or teams in the VFL at the moment, they're allowed to have what they're calling scrimmages, where a number of their players play against a number of players from other clubs, even if it's 3 or 4 clubs contributing to that game, yeah?
Yeah, and I always find it intriguing. How do they choose which jumper to wear? I know the other day they had the Essendon boys wearing the North Melbourne. I heard Jack Nunes earlier talk about Charlie Curnow playing a scrimmage yesterday, so not sure who was caught up in that and who was playing, but I'd suggest there's a fair few development players and players that will be connected to the VFL. So watch your space. Hoping to get back out. Our players just want to play at the end of the day, Dwayne, and whoever that may be against, and wherever, whenever. It's all about just getting the product out there for particularly the standalone clubs.
So how many weeks will you, or how long will you have gone without a practice session if you all of a sudden can play next week or the week after?
It's I suppose if let's see how it all unfolds. But if the operation was to get up and going this weekend somehow, you'd imagine we'd put the hand up and just look to play. Obviously, it'd be at an increased risk to players, with injury and whatnot. But whatever's required to play, we would do. Last time out, when we came out of our lockdown last time, we played, I think within the week, we had a session on the Tuesday, a session on the Thursday, and then we actually played GWS on the Saturday. It'll be a quick turnaround because essentially, we're running out of a bit of time of footy season left.
Yeah, absolutely. Why isn't goal kicking getting any better, Michael? You got a theory?
Well, I was never very good in front of the sticks myself, Dwayne, but It's an interesting one. I was there live for AFL Nation yesterday watching Harry Mackay in the last quarter, and he only snapped one. And, he was forced to kick the drop punt because he was on the opposite side to what a left footer would like, the members' side, kicking towards the punt road end the last quarter. He had to go to the drop punt, and he hit them well. He hit them beautifully. So he's nailing me around the corner, and he's nailing the set shots at the moment. But it's a bit of a concern, and I think the old school players and people in the media, they just want players to practice it. Just get out there and continually practice it. Sports science, push that to the side when it comes to goal kicking. And what Ross Lyon used to do really well in our time, and AFL clubs would have adapted to this, across the board for the last few years, is get them doing it under fatigue. So after a significant drill or a scrimmage or whatever it might be for 10 minutes, get the forwards and the midfielders to run down and have a few shots under fatigue, of which, the product isn't getting any better in front of the sticks, but let's hope it sharpens up before the pointy end of the season.
Who's going to win the flag?
So having a look at the ladder, I think it's down to 4. So Port Adelaide, yes, they snuck into the top 4 with a win over St Kilda, but the trust for Port Adelaide at the moment against those top end sides is rapidly diminishing. They can't get it done against fellow top 4 or 5 sides. So I'm thinking Melbourne, Bulldogs, Geelong, or the Lions for mine. I really like the Doggies. I really do, just in terms of their mix, their balance around the ball. They've got a bunch of stars that just get the football. And if it's not one of their days, then the other 2 or 3 will chip in and find the footy. And up forward, they've got the three-headed monster now with Jamara, Norton, and also Josh Bruce. So depending on what that mix looks like going forward with their best 22, I think the Bulldogs look the side for mine. I think there's a lot of responsibility on Alex Keith in terms of their back half. He's the one that you look at and think he's a genuine A-grade defender. In terms of what else they have in that position and the depth around them, Cordy does an okay job. Ryan Gardner's been in and out, has a bit of an injury at the moment. So that's their deficiency at the moment, but really like the balance of the Doggies outfit. And
who finishes 8th?
Well, I don't think it really matters, Dwayne. And I'm probably a bit pessimistic in this space. As I said, I think it's the 4 sides, and maybe I'll give Port Adelaide another chance when they come up against a good side soon, and can they actually put a product out there that's going to be conducive to finals football. They've got a pretty light run, Port Adelaide, over the next few weeks, so they've got it there to finish top 4, which is half the battle. But 8th, Sydney did a good job yesterday, so they look like playing finals. West Coast and Essendon have those spots at the moment. No Dusty for the Tigers, of which I think will restrict them. So right now, I'm suggesting it's West Coast, and I think St Kilda can jump from 11th at the moment on the same amount of points as Essendon, Richmond, Fremantle. I'd love to see them in, Dwayne, but St Kilda are the side for mine. I think if they get their best product up, they'll sneak into the finals.
Hey, great to have a chat to you. Who's going to win the Brownlow before I let you go?
Brownlow, Bontempelli. Loving the work of Jack Steele, though, as well. Does he catch the eye of the umpire enough? Yes, he got in the top 3 last year, so that would suggest so. But he's just such a consistent performer, someone that just plays the game very well. And it's as basic as that. He does it tough, he tackles, but he also finds a footy and hits the scoreboard. So Bontempelli and Steele, 1-2.
All right, good stuff. Mick, great to have a chat to you, and I'll let you go for your 1 hour outing for a jog or 2. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dwayne. Already done that. I'll get that done first thing so it clears the head. So going well. Enjoy the rest of the program, mate.
All right, good stuff. Michael Varlow, part of the SEN call team and Werribee VFL coach. Aaron in Monbolg's been on the line for a little while. Welcome to you, Aaron.
G'day, how you doing?
Good.
I just wanted to say, in regards to the goal kicking, I think one of the pressures or perceived pressures is the shot clock. So I know that back in the day when my mum started counting, I'd completely freak out. So I think that having that 30 seconds, it's just not enough time to take the mark and then gain enough composure to then have a good shot on goal. So I reckon at best, if they extended that out to 1 minute, I reckon you'd at least get that little bit more time to compose yourself and have a shot on goal.
Yeah, we could also not have it on the scoreboard, Aaron, so it's umpire's discretion. So essentially the umpire can do what a soccer referee does, and that is rather than have an arbitrary time where the half has to end, he just looks at his watch and makes a decision himself. So surely an umpire can say, you've taken way too much time, move it on now.
Yeah. Well, you've got the shot clock pressure, and then you've got the umpire pressure as well. It just seems 30 seconds, you know, you've run for the last 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you take a mark. You need that little bit of time just to take in 10 or 15 deep breaths, and they just don't get an opportunity to do so. So I think that would make quite a significant difference if you had even another 30 seconds just to gain that composure and then take the shot. I don't know, just it might make a difference, it might not, but I just think it's something that's not really taken into consideration.
Yeah, Aaron, I agree with you. I think exhausted players has been an issue. Having to run the full length of the ground, Lockett, Dunstall, etc., didn't do that. So players now are more exhausted when they're taking the shots. So that's a definite factor. I agree with that. Now, whether you allow them 45 seconds, whether you allow them a minute, whether you say, okay, well, the man on the mark is, for example, inside 50, so you're having a genuine shot at goal, so we'll give you the amount of time you require, but for shots outside 50, you don't get to take your full 30 seconds, and then you can't essentially pass it to somebody else, because we see quite a few players who've got a shot outside 50. They say they're going for the shot outside 50. Maybe you have to take a genuine shot. If you ask the umpire for your full allotment of time, you have to genuinely take a shot. You can't just kick it to the top of the square. But how we change it, Aaron, I'm not sure. But one thing for certain, goal kicking's the worst that it's ever been right now. I appreciate you calling. Hold the line. You've got a squad bundle, including the face and body wash, thanks to Stuff as well, coming your way as a caller in this hour. We'll take a break. Back to your calls and your text next. 1300 736 736 if you'd like to jump on the open line, brought to us by Werribee Kia. The Kia My22 Cerato is now in stock, and when it is possible to drop down to Werribee Kia, make sure you take one for a test drive.